Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We got Matt Lowry on the line from Conquest Chronicles. Please join him on SB Nation. And let's get everybody set for the influx of talent there on campus, early enrollees, plus some targets that could be key here as National Signing Day. The second one is just about 3 weeks away.
Yeah, so as everyone knows, National Signing Day just happened. The early signing period actually just happened, and everyone knows that it wasn't the greatest for USC. But recently, during the All-American Bowl, Gary Bryant Jr., who is arguably right now is one of the top receivers in California, if not he is the top receiver in California. He committed to USC, which from what a lot of people were telling me, that looked like a foregone conclusion. I know a lot of people were fearing that he would go to Oregon with everyone else, or that he would leave to go to ASU. I know ASU was heavy on him, but when he announced his commitment, he also announced that he will be enrolling early. He signed his letter of intent already, so he enrolled on campus last week, I believe. So right now, USC has another receiver to add, along with Josh Jackson Jr., the another standout receiver out of Narbonne High. They added another weapon to that already loaded wide receiver group. So that's one thing. As far as with the second National Signing Day, not many targets for USC. I think they got all of their targets out the way for the early signing period. But Jack Yeary, a lot of USC fans might know him as he's the son of USC legend Ron Yeary. He is scheduled to take a USC visit sometime fairly soon. But he was already committed to USC. A lot of people remember he committed to USC not that long ago, and then he decommitted. Actually, he decommitted from USC. So I don't know. It could be one of those things where if they get him, that could help the recruiting class a little bit, but it's still going to be low. But I mean, to get a 4-star, I believe a 4-star tight end to add on that helps pretty well. So,
According to the 247 composite, I know we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago that USC was in the 75 to 80 range, which was unthinkable. They've risen to number 56 in the national rankings and number 10 in the Pac-12, and should. Of course, it's not going to be anything close to what a USC class should be, but it's not going to be as disastrous as it looked a few weeks ago, and should climb the rankings a little bit more as we head toward February. Got Matt Lowry on the line talking USC football. As we look at the guys that are coming into the program, obviously we want to look at the guys that are leaving the program, or more importantly, you've received some good news concerning some guys that have looked at their NFL draft status and would like to add to their resume and are coming back to Southern Cal.
Yeah. So as far as with players leaving, Austin Jackson so far is the only draft eligible junior that ended up announcing that he's going to the NFL draft. Right now, a lot of scouts, a lot of mock drafts has him as anywhere between a first-round pick or a second-round pick. So if you're going to go that high in the draft, yeah, it's automatic that you're going to leave right away. You're going to declare and leave right away. So that was kind of that foregone conclusion that he was going to leave. As far as with Tyler Bonds, a lot of people were wondering if he would leave or if he would come back. It would have helped better for him with this being a deep wide receiving class in the NFL draft. Maybe he could work his stock a little bit more. I think maybe the same way how Michael Pittman ended up helping his stock this season. I think Bonds probably saw that potential and probably saw his draft grade, and he opted to return. Same thing with Jay Tuafele, who also announced that he was going to return. I would say I would say probably minutes early before Tyler Vaughns did. They did it like in close in time. So it helps though, but it helps USC this year because USC now has another top receiver that you can put opposite of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Drake London, as well as being I don't want to say a stopgap, but someone who's there to help guys like Kyle Ford or Brew McCoy come along, and as they get their reps and get their feet wet in the in college football. So that's something that could help, as well as not thrusting the true freshmen like Josh Jackson Jr. or Gary Bryant, thrusting them in there super early to play a key role, which they're going to end up playing anyway. But it helps for wide receiver depth, especially when they lost Velus Jones to the transfer portal, as well as Michael Pittman to the NFL draft and to graduation. And then with Jay Tuafele, it helps the USC defensive line, which it was solid, but it wasn't the best. And we saw during the Holiday Bowl, it wasn't quite where it needs to be. But it helps USC going into next season. So those are things that, if you're USC and if you're a USC fan, having those two back is very huge.
Tufele coming off a 5.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks season with 41 total tackles. Tyler Vaughns had a big year at 74 catches, almost 1,000 yards at 9-12 through the air and 6 touchdowns. So to get that production back on both sides of the ball is huge for USC. Got Matt Lowry on the line talking USC football. Much to talk about: recruiting, early enrollees into the NFL draft, early enrollees on campus on the front ends of their careers. And obviously there are always coaching changes and shakeups and rumors and all sorts of spots to fill as guys are looking for new jobs. They got fired, guys moving on to other jobs that open up other vacancies. So what's the latest in regards to trying to fill some of these gaps on the coaching staff?
So as everyone knows, with Clancy Pendergast and John Baxter gone, which I think we discussed a couple of weeks ago, I kind of figured that they were on their way out the door after the Holiday Bowl. And it just so happened after the Holiday Bowl they were let go. But recently, a lot of there were candidates that came out. Two that you heard the most were John Barry, the linebackers coach for the LA Rams. A lot of USC fans remember him during his 1-year time with USC in 2010 on Lane Kiffin's staff, as well as Ryan Nielsen out of the New Orleans Saints defensive line coach. Well, John Barry just declined the USC defensive coordinator position to stay with the LA Rams. So you can cross his name off the list. Ryan Nielsen is another name I would look at to get interviewed. If he hasn't been interviewed yet, then look for him to be interviewed for the vacant USC defensive coordinator position. If not, I know a lot of fans been throwing around the name recently, and that's Chris Richard from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the thing with Richard is that how I put this right now is he potentially is going to get interviewed for coaching jobs in the NFL, for whatever vacant coaching jobs there is in the NFL. So we know USC standard with competing with the NFL is not that easy. It's not like how it was with Pete Carroll, where you can go, hey, you want to come to USC or do you want to go to the NFL? I haven't heard anything of Richard getting interviewed for NFL coaching jobs or defensive coordinator jobs or anything. So maybe that helps for USC. That's something I keep an eye out for. Also, Rocky Long, who just resigned from San Diego State, is another name I look out for. Although he is 70 years old, and I don't know how he is with recruiting, he has coached some very effective San Diego State defenses. I believe San Diego State was one of the best teams in total defense and giving up points per game. I think they gave up only 13.2 points per game at San Diego State this season. So that's another name I would also look out for as well. But I watch out for Nielsen. That could be the top name for everybody, and maybe Richard, maybe Chris Richard, but that also depends. I know some alumni were throwing out that name. Whether USC does it or not, that remains to be seen right now.
All right, there's the scoop on USC football with, again, early enrollees on campus, more recruiting targets, including a legacy with Ron Yeri's son possibly coming and recommitting to USC with National Signing Day, the second one coming up in just a few weeks. And obviously, USC has retained most of its talent that was eligible to go early to the NFL draft. So good news there. We get the latest from Matt Lowry from Conquest Chronicles. Matt, we appreciate you stopping by. Would like to let everyone know that if you'd like a dedicated USC live stream here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, please let us know down in the comments section. Matt, we know you got a lot to track and keep track of and write about these days, so we appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks for having me, Mark.